Nobody ever accused me of easy reading. Hey BookTube, it's Kim at Middle of the Book March. Today's video is about thick books by dead white guys. March of the Mammoths is coming up in March, of course. And the announcement videos just came out. I just started watching them yesterday. We have Jason from Chapter and Verse. Jason originated this reading project about 4 years ago. I think he said this is the 4th year of March of the Mammoths. And Lukash from A Cruel Reader's Thesis is also a co-host, as is Alex from Big Al Books. And I will put all the links for their videos and their channels down below. March of the Mammoths is a read-along or a readathon for the month of March, where you read at least one book, 800 pages or more. And you don't have to commit to reading any more than that. And you don't even have to commit to finishing that book. If you start a book that is longer than 800 pages and you start it in March, even if you don't finish it, you've been reading a mammoth book. I love this read along. I've done it for the past couple of years and I just love it. I am a huge fan of giant books and I have read so many good ones. And whenever March comes around, I always know that I'm going to take part, and it's so hard to decide which book I'm going to pick, or maybe which books, I don't know. At one point, I was going to try to reread Middlemarch, but I'm not sure I'll be able to do it this March. I would love to do it this year sometime, but we'll see. Anyway, I have a pile of books, a pile of thick books by dead white guys. And why am I showing these to you? Because I'm not typically a fan of the dead white man. Oh, I rhymed and I didn't even prepare that. Because what's interesting is when you look back at the Western canon, the literary canon, it is overwhelmingly populated by white men. And a lot of them are dead white men, are what has up until this point been considered accepted classics of Western literature. So let me just show you what I'm going to present. Now, I have a book that I will be reading for sure in March for the Mammoth. And I will show you that later. But this pile of books is either for your encouragement or inspiration. And I might try to read more than one mammoth in March. I'm not even going to bother committing to trying to finish either one or both. I'd like to finish one. So let's get going. The first one is interesting because it's a series, but they're linked. You'll figure it out. And 3 of these books are issued in one volume. They were meant to be one book, but this is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I love this copy. I was on the search for these hardcover versions that all kind of went together. This one I love. I love the art on the front, and I love the size of the font. It's enormous, and it's not even a large print version. So J.R.R. Tolkien wrote The Hobbit. And my family and I, binge watched the entire 3 Lord of the Rings movies over the weekend. It was fantastic. So this is kind of the prequel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And this is, of course, The Fellowship of the Ring. And these are all photographic covers. I found them, I think, in a Goodwill for $1 each. So The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, book number 2, and The Return of the King. So these books all together are, I don't even know how long. I didn't even add up all the page count. That's an option if you consider the Lord of the Rings trilogy one set of one volume, and it has been printed in one volume. That's a mammoth book. It's a gigantic book. Coincidentally, I have another science fiction / fantasy, The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. I'm tempted. I'm tempted to start this series. I am not typically a series lover, but this one is just such a exposed, well-known. I don't remember which channel has the new series on it. I don't remember if it's Prime or Netflix or one of those. But I just loved this hardcover version. I loved the old-fashioned art. It's got all kinds of reprintings. And this book is 670 pages. Unfortunately, the font is fairly small. It's not the worst I've seen, though. So this is a really good-sized book. Not necessarily mammoth material, but it's still a thick book. Another one it's just shy of 800 pages. It's The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoyevsky. And this is the story. It's a murder mystery, a courtroom drama, and an exploration of erotic rivalry in a series of triangular love affairs involving the wicked and sentimental Fyodor Pavlovich Karamazov and his 3 sons. I always look at the size of the font because eyes and, middle-aged and progressive. So, but I've had this on my shelf for a really long time. I've always wanted to read it. And again, it's not quite a mammoth, but it's definitely a thick one. Here we go with a mammoth. This one will do it. This'll do it for sure. This is Bleak House by Charles Dickens. I'm a Dickens fan. And oh, dang, it has small font. Blah! This is why having an e-reader is good, because quite often all of these classics are free in the public domain on, all the e-reader systems, or if not free, 99 cents. So what I have often done, I did it with Count of Monte Cristo, which was free. I read the Penguin Classic edition, and I also, if I was at work, I would access the ebook. So this is Charles Dickens' Bleak House, and it's Dickens, so it's very complex story. And again, it's one of those classics I've held on to, and why not pick it up? And it's over 900 pages, so it absolutely applies for March of the Mammoths. Now, this one is another multi-volume book. The first book this is still a gigantic book. The first book has 606 pages. This is Marcel Proust's Swann's Way, Volume 1 of In Search of Lost Time. If any book will go to the bottom of the pile, it'll probably be this one, because I've got it. Oh, nice font. That's encouraging. I've got the book. I would love to try it, but I'm not going to kick myself, to the finish line trying to get this read, but I would really like to read it. And I've been following Sarah from Hardcover Hearts in her project to read In Search of Lost Time, and I think she might be on the last volume. So go, Sarah, go. Oh, let's see. I have 3 more. This one is Moby Dick by Herman Melville. I don't really need to tell you what this is about, but this particular version is just 701 pages, so it doesn't qualify for a mammoth, but there are other volumes out there that are longer than this. And this is, oh, nice font. This is a Barnes & Noble paperback edition. And I've said this many times before. My mom passed away about 7.5 years ago. And she was not really a reader, but she had Moby Dick for years. She read once in a while, and she was a thriller and mystery lover. But she had a couple classics, and this Moby Dick was one of them. And it was kind of on her book bucket list. This was her copy, this Barnes & Noble copy, that after she passed away, I grabbed for my own library. So I have it, and it's definitely something I want to read. One of the many reasons I would love to read these classics and these big thick books by dead white guys is for the cultural context. And because they're classics, because of the strength of the writing, because of the intricate storylines, I do want to read these books. I own them. I want to read all of them. This is Les Mis by Victor Hugo in this wonderful Penguin Deluxe Classic Edition. Great font, very clear, decent sized font. I also have a study guide for this one that when I do get to it, I'm gonna actually analyze along the way and look at the discussion questions and kind of look at the background and the history of the book. But this is ginormous. This is one of those books that you sit at the table and read it. Let the table take the weight, the burden. All right, this book, this was my primary consideration for March of the Mammoths for a lot of different reasons. One, I've always wanted to read it. Two, there are so many booktubers that are going to be reading this starting in March as a read-along, and it's Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace. I have several different copies. This one has amazing font. It's great size, very clear pages. This is the Penguin Deluxe Edition, translated by Anthony Briggs. And Susan from Road Reads did a whole video about War and Peace translations because she's a giant fan of the book. She read it just recently, absolutely loved it. I loved her video because she put so much enthusiasm in her review of War and Peace, and definitely I will link that below, and I would love for you to go and watch that video if you're at all interested. There are several booktubers who are going to be doing a read-along starting in March. Hannah from Hannah's Books is one. Una and Krypto from the Codex Cantina are also doing that with Hannah. And Sandy from Ms. Reads a Lot is going to be starting this in March, but I think she's going to try to read it faster and do it in 1 month. Hannah and Codex Cantina, I think, are doing this in 3 months. So I may pick it up in March, but I don't believe I will be able to read the whole thing. I will have to do it a little bit at a time. And the way I'm going to do that is I have this book, Tolstoy Together, 85 Days of War and Peace, with Yi-Yun Lee. And I absolutely love the comparison of a classic by a dead white Russian man with an analysis and a reading guide by a contemporary Asian woman author. And so this is 85 Days with World and Peace, and it has a schedule. So it clearly takes 85 days to read the whole book. I don't know if you can see that. On the corner of every page is the schedule for how much to read every day. And then there is a little bit of history. There are discussion points, questions. This may be the way I go about reading War and Peace, and I will probably start with this translation. I also have the Mod translation and the Constance blah 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 translation. I'll put her last name here. I had it on the tip of my tongue. I don't remember what it is. So that's the way I will probably read War and Peace, but I believe I will do that at my own pace. Now, the book I am definitely going to read for March of the Mammoths is it's an interesting format of a book. Let me see what the page count is without the notes at the back. And gosh, that's not easy to do, and I didn't mark it in advance. There's a chronology, there's an appendix, a chronology, and then the section with the notes. And if I count the chronology, this particular book is 1,081 pages, but it's going to be surprising to you because it's very small. The reason it's so long is because those pages are like onion skin pages, or close to it. They're not quite transparent, but the font is a good size, and this may be a cheat. This is the American Library of America volume of Ursula K. Le Guin's Hainish novels and stories, volume 1. This has all of the Hainish novels in it, I believe. It looks like there's 5 of them, and then it also has a section with stories of hers. And this was one of the books that was on my Mooks and Gripes bucket list last year, and this was one of the ones that was voted that I should read this year. So I am going to do that for March. I am going to read this volume. If I only read the Hainish novels without going into her stories, that page count is, good gracious, 921 pages. Still well over the 800-page qualification for a mammoth. So that's that. Yeah. These are all such iconic books and Western classics and canonized books. And yes, I do want to read all of them. I do want to read all of these books by dead white guys. I need to pace myself because they're super long. What does that say? I don't know. Is there a long-windedness to these? That's it for me. You can fight me on that last comment if you want. But if you've read any of these classics, let me know. If you've read any of The Lord of the Rings or Robert Jordan's first book in the series, The Eye of the World, if you've read the Proust series, In Search of Lost Time, let me know. Let me know what you think. I'm definitely reading Le Guin, but let me know in the comments below if you think I should attempt War and Peace also. I won't finish it in 1 month, but I will start another one of the Mammoths. So let me know which one you think I should start with. War and Peace, Les Mis, Bleak House, whatever. I'd love to hear your opinions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, everybody. Bye.